Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. My name is Becca Dukes, and as the hostess of this program, I am honored to be able to share more information with you about life. And today we are going to be talking about thriving through healthy aging, folks. So as we get older and as our parents and those that we care for are getting older, things change. And I am excited to have back with me Kasondra, one of my dearest friends, an entrepreneur, health advocate, someone that has been leading families and caregivers through the changes and complexities of life. So folks, I hope you're prepared to take some notes, because eventually, if it's not hitting you now, it will soon or in the future. So I love giving people things to put into their toolbox to help them, no matter what the situation is. When it comes to health and living and lifestyle, you're in the right place. For more information. Again, my name is Becca Dukes. I am the producer of this show and hostess, and I am excited to be able to also be a leader of an amazing group of certified holistic health coaches, as we have learned about the 4 areas of health, how they're affected by nutritional deficiencies, and solutions to help with those deficiencies. But it doesn't stop there. So if you want more information about our Certified Holistic Health Coach course, go to coach.dailywithdoc.com. Now, this is a resource for that amazing community. So I want to make sure that if somebody shared this program with you, that you get back with them. They are your point of contact when it comes to getting more information about what you can do as an individual for yourself, your family, community, because they're doing their part in sharing it with you. And as each of us are doing our own parts, we are making a positive impact around the world. And that's something to be proud of, folks. So today, as I mentioned, we have my dear friend Kasondra coming back. She has been such a support for me and so many others that I couldn't not have her on to continue and be a support for you as well. So Kasondra, thank you so much for being here with us. I know as an educator, a researcher, you dig deep into things that my brain can't handle, which, you know, as friends for more than a decade, maybe two. Oh yeah, we can't tell our age, can we? Shh, because I'm older than I look. She is older than she looks, and she's much younger than I. So, did I say that wrong? I think I said she's younger than she looks. She's beautiful, folks. Welcome, 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 Kasondra. And I just want to say, for those of you who are live here with us in the Zoom, you're going to want to make sure that you have that chat open because Marilyn is putting comments and taking notes for you. You can take a screenshot. You can, I don't know that you can copy and paste, but you can definitely take a screenshot. You can see what she's writing, type it yourself in case you missed something. And also, there is that profile that says a smile. That's what the people out on all the different platforms are seeing, whether they're watching us live stream or the replay. So you can just spotlight that for yourself, pin it for yourself, I think is a better term. And for those of you who are out on all the different platforms, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel, follow us, and leave us a comment if that's possible as to where you're joining us from. We'd love to know where we are reaching. And if you'd like more information about the program that you are watching today, again, get back with the person that shared this program with you. You can also send questions at dailywithdoc.com. So that is an email where we do take questions and we do get those questions answered for you, whether it's here on the show or through a return email. Again, that's questions at dailywithdoc.com. Kasondra, welcome.
My dear Becca.
You know, we're going to continue. We were here last week. We were talking about aging and things, some of the things that are needed in helping us with that aging process. So we got kind of cut off before we even got halfway through it. And I think it's very important that we pick up where we left off and continue and even expound on what we were talking about last week. So folks, if you missed last week, make sure that you do a search daily with Doc and Becca and Kasondra, that's Kasondra, and you'll find our previous episodes with the one and only Kasondra McCormick. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me again. It's a topic that is near and dear to my heart always, and for such a long time. And as we talked last week, we're both in it. We're both in this family dynamic and the support of our parents. So, and last week's approach was more of a fire hose. And you were just jumping in with 2 feet into the fire in your experience. So there was a lot of information, and I really picked 2 topics for today to just dive in and really drill into some common things that a lot of individuals and their loved ones or support system or people around you might recognize, where we need to start and maybe start adding a support system. But there are things that are very common.
And I think having that support system is very important. And that's something that we don't plan for.
Yeah.
As needing, because we try to become more self-reliant.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to that stage.
I was talking to somebody this morning, and we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, where it was the interdependent, dependent, and independent. And there's a really fine line between those. And I think in Western society, we have really created this mess because we leave our families, we go off and travel, we create our own families, and our loved ones or support system is so far away, and we just don't live that lifestyle anymore. And so when it gets time to move into this support system of our loved ones, family, friend, community, we're so far away from each other that we haven't prepared for this time, which it's not just for somebody else, it's not for them over there. Every single one of us, it doesn't matter who you are, every single one of us is going to enter this phase. And the more information that we have, and the better prepared for it that we are, the more comfortable we're going to recognize those signs that we can start implementing some of these things we're talking about.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just going to let you jump right in, because I know you've got, yeah, you provide fabulous notes.
Thank you.
So you know exactly how to go. And as you had mentioned, I can't remember if it was before we started the show. We had the chief engineer, the chief mama going through and did a mama approved.
I am so lucky. We are so lucky. We have great relationships with our mothers. Not everybody has that. And my mom's been in a professional field her entire life. And so she gives me really wonderful feedback. And she's in this space where we're still moving at lightning speed, and they're starting to slow down. And sometimes we talk too fast. Sometimes there's too much information. They can't write it all down, which is what's so wonderful about your team. And having that knowledge, I provide the notes so that your team can provide the resources that I'm talking about so that they can go back for more information. So I have a encyclopedia in my brain, as my mother says. And it was so wonderful to lean on her and have her give me feedback on my outline. So Mama Chief of Staff, and she's living this out loud because she's the caregiver for my father, and she's living it every day. And she said, this really hits home for me personally, because this is where she's living and people really need to know these things. So I got real time live feedback that is so critical, for her, which is, the demographic of who is here and your listeners today. So I got the check mark approval from Mama Chief of Staff, I call her.
Fantastic.
So let's just dive in. And so I have a little coined phrase that is, aging changes the name and the game of the disease. And we're in prevention and nutrition, and this is, in teaching health coaches. And subtly, these names change, or we have a disease orientation that becomes a little more complex. So we're familiar with diseases, and then once we start aging, those things start getting a little more complex, and the resources around us, those names change, like a gerontologist, or just the complexity starts to change. So we'll start out with a simple disease, and then as we go, it gets a little more complex. So, and as we age, they start overlapping. You may have one disease, and then it starts overlapping, and it creates a complexity to maintenance and prevention and aging well. And secondly, sometimes we might have a lack of awareness about those changes. That's why we're here today. That's why we're having this conversation, because we're in this prevention and maintenance. We're dealing with one type of disease and really trying to be our optimal self. And then subtly, something comes up and it creates complexity, and it just sneaks up on us. And the other part is that we may not have that support system like we talked about, and others around us typically notice these subtle changes before we do. A lot of times we may be in denial, or it's just progressing a little bit and we keep adding this, that, or the other, and all of a sudden we're in this different a different pool than we really understand how, and we get a little bit too far out there, and we really do need to pull in this support system so that we can start regaining some control. So I'll start with singular health, and it could be something like diabetes, type 1 or 2, or it could be memory loss and brain fog. Those are very common. People are some common contributors are changes in your environment, stress. Maybe we're just having lack of proper digestion, or maybe we're having lack of the appropriate nutrients. Or we could have a brain injury that's really old. We could have been playing sports when we were younger, and we could have gotten hit by the ball on our head, and we got a small concussion, and we went on and lived the rest of our life. We could have fallen off our bike. We could have fallen out of the tree. We might have even been in a car accident a really long time ago and forget that can contribute to some of that brain fog or memory loss. Add lack of nutrients and improper digestion, and here we end up at brain fog, and then eventually or memory loss. So both nutrition and our lifestyle is going to play a very vital role in longevity and aging well. So yep, go
Kasondra,
ahead. Yes.
I just want to, do a little plug in here. You're not speaking just from book knowledge. You're speaking from own personal experiences that led you into getting the book knowledge as well.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that with our viewers, because I know, what you have been through that brought you here today where you're at, which is part of what has brought us together through life and kept us together, even when there's lapse of time where we haven't communicated. So folks, I really encourage you to open up and listen, because this is more than just book knowledge. It's actually real life experience. Plus having the chief mama giving approval, and she's going through this as well. Yep.
Yes, and it is. We look great here today, and we are a version of our best self, but that's evolving every day, and it is our personal journey, which is what brought us together, what brings our heart and our soul to being able to want to speak out about this and share this journey with others, because we really have walked the path. And even though we are living our best life, we're still in the trenches today, still going through this with our families. And so it's so, we didn't get here because we had, jumped into the degree program at the university. We got this education through life and experience. And I think everyone in this group here, and why we're coming here, is even if you have this book knowledge, and you can have all this book knowledge, but the actionable steps and how we apply this in a real life, and being around others not only tells us that we're on the right track, but it also helps you not feel alone in this journey, and that we're all doing this. It's not just you, it's not just me. We're not isolated in this, but we really are all walking this journey of lifestyle and nutrition together. Life is hard. The world is incredibly challenging these days, and there is a lot of stress out there, and people get nervous and they have a lot of anxiety. And these are really practical, applicable things that we're talking about that we implement every day that are going to help us shut out some of that noise and come back and focus on ourselves.
Absolutely. And as we are focusing on ourselves, folks, you know, we got to think about who created us.
Yes.
And not forget that we need to have that awareness that will help us to then help them through the years that they need the most help.
Yes, absolutely. Giving back.
Absolutely. So, you know, as we're going through this, Kasondra, you mentioned the different health conditions. You know, at different ages, they're called different things. And it seems like that as our society ages, they're more prevalent. But I love the fact how you mentioned the nutrition part of it, and not forgetting that nutrition factor when it comes to being able to sustain our health.
Yeah.
So share with us a little more, you know, going through your notes, the inner dialogue. And I know we touched on this before, but that inner dialogue that is our self-talk. Can we go there, or what would you like to hit next?
We can absolutely go there. It's a sweet spot for me. So and so heart-centered, and it's really where I like to play. So, you know, we do talk about putting our heart on our hand, you know, and putting your heart, you know, your hand on your tummy, and just taking a breath and taking a pause, and everything that we need to know is inside of us. If we will really just get quiet and trust that inner dialogue inside, our body will tell us what we need. So what we're doing is bringing from the subconscious to the conscious these toolboxes and all of these things. But I bet if you get really quiet and you just sit with yourself, we talked about journaling, and just, what do I need right now? Doing a check-in. What is going on right now? Am I having anxiety? Is there something that's frustrating or causing anxiety in me? Am I not sleeping well? If you can start with right here and just take a quick assessment. And do I need to focus on nutrition? Do I need to focus on hydration? Do I need to talk with somebody else about a challenge that's going on in my life? Then, you know, write those 2 or 3 things down, and then start going out. Who's my first line of defense? I've got, you know, our family here. There's lots of information here, and there are lots of resources, and you can just say, here's my first line of defense. This is level 1. Then I have, you know, my family around me, or my friends, who in my circle might be having some of these experiences, and who might be having some health challenges with a loved one, and you get in the car with them, and all of a sudden your friend is talking about this situation. You're like, oh my gosh, I was just dealing with this also. And all of a sudden they start talking about this, and they're like, oh my gosh, somebody told me that like 6 months ago, and here we are. So just get really quiet, take stock of where you're at, and then start looking out. And then let's see if we have the right tools in our toolbox. And if we don't, then let's figure out how to add those tools to our toolbox. And don't be afraid to reach out for help, because as we go through this list and we start talking about these overlapping diseases and these complexities, we're going to land in crisis. And the whole reason we talk about nutrition and lifestyle, it's all prevention, and it's all to help put all those guardrails around you so that you don't reach crisis. And even if you got to crisis, you're going to land right back here in prevention and lifestyle and nutrition in order to unwind that crisis. So this is exactly how you use these tools.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course.
So you have so much on your notes. Where do you want to go next?
I'll try to keep it as simple as possible, because you know it is so complex, and there are so many things that we need in our toolbox. And I have been in this world for decades. So I really like to talk about some common disease and complexities that most people will be familiar with. So, and I'll just keep it to two, but as you start seeing within these two orientations, there are a lot of similarities, and there are a lot of tools packed in here that you can really take with you for almost any experience. I really feel like if you have these tools in your toolbox, you are like 95% of the way there between the nutrition, the prevention, and understanding these things we're going to talk about. You really have you are well equipped to be able to navigate almost any situation.
And I think having these tools in your toolbox now, even before you need them, is a better way to be. I mean, I'm all about being proactive instead of reactive, especially having to do so much work when I myself was in that reactive state.
Yeah.
Now, proactive is definitely the way to go.
It only takes one time. It only takes one time to go through a chaotic event and realize that if I just have these few things and I can make one or two phone calls, I really have everything in my sphere to help me navigate my situation. And again, we didn't get to this place today by being proactive per se, because it started out with a crisis. It started out with a crisis of help, and we were looking for solutions. So it's okay. You're still going to have the crisis, and then you're going to go, oh yeah, I remember this, that, and the other. And now we're going to start navigating back to, I think I heard somebody talk about that.
Right.
So if we can give, if we can give, just one trigger that reminds us to go look for the answer, then you're a good way down the road.
No, absolutely. And folks, we're not saying that you're never going to experience a crisis. And just take that crisis as your moment to grow.
Absolutely. Yes. And you're never not going to know that again. So next crisis, check, we got this.
Yeah. And Don out on YouTube, he said self-talk, inner dialogue, mindset, development process, and how in tune are humans to the silence between the noise.
Yes.
So there's a lot of noise.
There is, and we talked about that before, that pause. There's a space, like when the clock ticks from second to second, there is a pause between those seconds. If you can find that space and take a breath, then you're going to be able to find the answers that you need. And you're going to be able to think it 1 second, just 1 second, one breath. That's all you need. And just sit in that one breath. What do I need to do next? Where do I need to go? But because what do? We clench and we hold our breath, and then we can't think. So we really have to take that 1 second to kind of get your head above water so that you can get there.
And this applies to everybody.
Get to your
Every
toolbox.
age.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, please continue.
Okay. So we talked about diabetes, and we talked about brain fog and memory loss. Another common is Parkinson's, dementia, UTIs. And all of these, we start out with nutrition, and our bodies have a path that it's going to be on. And we can get to disease if we miss the prevention part. And then we need to unwind. Your body is still going to head down a path of disease orientation. It has a way that it goes. So in Parkinson's, some subtle things that you might encounter before you get to disease may be tremors. We talked about the limbic system before, and this is the nervous system, that wiring inside, and we start getting some tremors or some shaking. And it could be really subtle, just when you're resting, you're at rest, and you're just having a little bit of shaking. And then you might see that your handwriting has changed. That's a really subtle indicator that there's something going on with the nervous system that you need to address. Maybe you're putting the key in the door and your hands are a little bit shaky, or you're trying to turn the doorknob and your dexterity just isn't there. And you're really having a hard time really gripping or getting a good hold on that doorknob. A really early indicator could be loss of taste or smell. Sometimes this happens a decade before disease comes, and this is not COVID related. So I know a lot of people experienced this during COVID, but it is also a presentation of your nervous system and the wiring, that myelin sheath around your nerves is starting to break down, and your body's starting to shake. It could go as far as when you're eating, you have a really difficult time holding your utensils. They make special utensils that can absorb that shaking and that vibration so that you can feed yourself. So that shaking. Then the complexity of this is when you start getting weakness and you're having difficulties from transitioning between getting out of bed or getting into a chair, or even another really common one that people just think is getting older, but it really becomes dangerous, is when they're stepping over the threshold into the bathtub. This is where a lot of falls happen. Or just getting over the threshold of a doorway or going up steps becomes more difficult. These are all just subtle indicators that paying attention to these subtle indicators, because they don't look like much right now, but they are once you start layering on, now we're starting to get into some complexities. Another a place where you might say we need a call to action is we might start getting some behaviors, meaning I'm frustrated, I'm losing my independence, and I'm getting frustrated. And, or you could experience even more than that. You might yell, right? Or just irritability. There are some small red flags, and the red flag may be that you're getting an uptick in the behaviors and you're seeing higher frustration, higher irritability, or you might be seeing some random, just unexplainable frustration. Those are red flags. So everybody's going to get frustrated because their life is changing and they're slowing down. Dexterity is different. Things just become a little bit more challenging. So having frustration is normal, but a red flag is when it really starts presenting itself on a ongoing basis, and it gets a little bit more concerning.
Sandra, do you have any tips or tidbits whenever we are around our family, aging family, and they start getting these red flags? I mean, they get frustrated. What are some tips to keep us from responding in that same frustration?
So going back to inner dialogue, that's a really great question, because our loved ones are going to say, maybe I'm just having a bad day, or I'm just tired, I did too much. They're going to start covering up their reality, or they're going to start making excuses. I'm just getting older, I'm slowing down, and no big deal, I just need to rest. It's a really hard question to answer, because if they're very independent, they're going to want to maintain their independence. And sometimes you have to go around it and make a suggestion like, hey, I'm at the grocery store. I was going to stop by, and do you need milk, eggs, cheese, or bread? I'm already here. Or, hey, I'm at the pharmacy grabbing this. Do you have anything at the pharmacy that I need to pick up for you? Because I'm on my way over. So you kind of want to wedge them into a corner where they can't say no, because you're already there. And as challenging as that sounds, you really do have to wedge them into a corner, because they're going to think, oh man, you're going to come over, I'm going to be exhausted after you come over, and then I'm going to have to get in the car and go to the pharmacy. So you really do have to start presenting in a way and kind of think very craftily about, hey, I'm here right now, and I'm coming over as soon as I'm done. What's on your list? So instead of asking them, can I do this for you? Because it makes them feel dependent. Now you're going to, out of genuine care, I'm at the store, could I grab you? Or pay attention to some of the things that when you're having your conversation on the phone with them or on your last visit, and kind of do like a little check around the kitchen or around the house and notice, are they out of laundry detergent? Do they need fruits and veggies? Are they getting low on, some of their vitamins and supplements, or some of those medications that they might need? Look around the house. Do they need trash bags? Just look around and pay more attention very craftily as you're walking through the house with them, and just, logging some things, and then make a plan to go to the store right before you go to the visit and say, hey, I'm at the store. I'm going to grab da 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 da, which may be similar things that they need. Oh, I need that too, right? Oh, that's exactly what I need to get. Well, let me get those for you. And right, and out of love and courtesy and kindness, and you just very nonchalantly, very helpful to them. And so that's a great starter. If they're already in a position, you really are going to have to wedge them into a spot and say, hey, my friend and I are coming over. They might need the house cleaned or some laundry done or something, right? And you may say, I have to go run an errand. I'm going to leave my friend here and she's going to help, visit with you. Right? We just have to get a little bit more crafty with someone who's independent because they don't want any help and they think they're fine. And that inner dialogue is, I don't want to burden anyone. And it's not a burden to us, and we don't see it that way. But because they're becoming dependent, it's a very uncomfortable place for them. And they really have their pride about them, which is preventing them from asking help.
Well, and I think that really leads into, with aging or anybody, if you've got a gut issue, it's going to affect your brain.
Yeah.
So they may, as you're wedging them into that corner, I love how you had mentioned when you're there, take inventory of some of the things that they may be needing, or and presenting it like you just said. Hey, I'm going to pick up this, this, and this. Is there anything I can get for you? Knowing that those are some of the things that you took inventory of, because their brain may not be firing and they may like come to a complaint like, I don't need that. But because you mentioned it, it's like, oh, I need that too.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I love how you presented that.
Yeah.
Do you want to go more into that gut brain type
Yeah.
health?
Yeah. And I think that that's a great place. So sometimes when we get a little older, we don't eat as much, or sometimes because we're not active, or we eat smaller portions, and sometimes we forget to eat. And when you're at home and you're doing that inventory, these are tools in your toolbox. And this is very proactive instead of being reactive, because we're just not going to notice those things. Or if we say that, oh, mom, your dishes are piling up in the sink, it's going to embarrass her. I'm going to get to that later. So changing our dialogue with our loved ones is going to be really impactful, because we don't want to embarrass them as though they're not taking care of themselves. And sometimes we just want to subtly notice and then make an attempt to, I have some extra time on my hands, and while you're having tea or coffee chatting in the kitchen, you can be tidying up, looking in the fridge, looking to see if that the garbage needs to be taken out. And you can do those things because you're doing them. You're just scurrying around the house, talking and chatting and spending time. And voila, all of a sudden the dishes are done, right? And all of a sudden you've made a quick little checklist of some things that they might need. And this just reminded me, I need eggs at the house, or I need bread at the house, or I need to run this errand. So it's just a very subtle way that's non-offensive to spend time with them and also recognize what their needs are. So the nutrition part, they can't maybe go to the grocery store, which is why we're going to start picking up for them, or maybe inadvertently running errands for them. But making sure that they are eating And having proper nutrition is going to be very important for them to be able to think well and make good decisions for themselves. So super, super important to have good nutrition as we age. It's a number one priority in prevention.
And when we're talking about good nutrition, I know some, they're like, oh, I didn't have time to make anything. I just grabbed what was in the refrigerator. So, or what was in the cupboard.
Yeah.
So us doing our part in making sure that there are things in the refrigerator, in the cupboard, that are nutrient dense, not just calories.
Right.
It's a service that we're offering to them without them even knowing. And they'll be grateful, whether
Yes.
it's something that they express the gratitude or just, oh, good, I'm glad that's there, not realizing that, because you get to an age that they may not realize how it got there.
Right. And dexterity is important. So remember that they may not be able to grip a can opener or open up the top on a water bottle. So you can just gently unscrew and screw it just, enough for a water bottle, or change the way that snacks are soup, carrots, apples, crackers, bananas, things that are going to be protein healthy but easy snacks for them that they can just grab out of the fridge that are ready to go so that they don't have to worry about preparation. They may have lost a loved one and they may be alone. So they may not want to just cook for one. So you want to make sure that there are snacks or healthy prepared meals that they can just pop in the microwave. And a lot of grocery stores, I know, let's just go there. I know. So here's the thing. When people get older, throw all that crap out the window. I mean, seriously, it's like practical. You don't want them using a stove. They might forget to turn it off. The pan might be too heavy for them to pick up and put. Then they have to wash dishes. They need things that go in the toaster. They need things that go in the microwave. If you're getting good quality nutrients, and I cook, but if you're single and you work a lot, please, you use the microwave. You do. You just do. But as you get older, these are places that aren't safe. The oven and the stove, they're not safe. A toaster oven could get left on and you can burn the house down. So, I know that when we're younger and we are all eco-friendly, sustainably thinking, but that's why I said at the beginning, the name of the game changes, because it's fine for us to do all of those steps when we're younger and we're able, but it's too many steps when we get older. So it's very practical. Again, that's why nutrient dense and good snacks and prepared meals that are healthy are really important for older adults, because they can't do those things anymore and they're not safe. So it really, the lifestyle changes, and you really need to be more practical, and using the microwave is okay because it's safe and it's quick and it's less effort for them, and they only have one or two dishes that they can clean up. They don't have a pot and a pan and a spatula, and they don't have a whole sink full of dishes that they have to clean up. They may have neuropathy, or they might have a pain in their back or their hips. They might not be able to stand at the sink or the stove to cook. it may be incredibly uncomfortable, which is another reason why they don't eat well, because they just can't do those things anymore.
The one thing that I do for my mom, especially because she and my father aren't always on the same eating schedule, especially in the morning, is I make sure that she has a nutritious shake that she can make.
Yes.
Where she has her shaker bottle, she puts her scoop of shake in there, she puts her water in there, and then she also uses it as she's shaking. That's movement that she uses as exercise.
Yep.
As we're
Awesome.
going back and forth, back and forth. And just a little plug, Longevity has some amazing meal replacements and even protein shakes. We had mentioned on one of our shows, I believe, the importance of protein to maintain muscle. So that's something that you really want to pay attention, make sure that they have on hand, so that when they don't have the energy to do any type of cooking, not even put it in the microwave, at least they have a nutritious shake that they can eat or drink. We've got the meal replacement shakes in chocolate and vanilla. There's for those that want a plant-based, in the State Natural line, there's also the plant-based protein shake. And then in the Slender FX, there's also meal replacements that are lower in calories, but still have the nutrition and the protein. So get back with the coach that shared this program with you. If you'd like more information about it, you found this program on your own, you can absolutely go to dailywithdoc.com, the sponsor of this program, and you'll find those shakes there. If you don't know what to take, give our call team a call, fullest certified holistic health coaches at 855-949-3377. So, okay. So I can absolutely see, and because I've experienced it going into my parents' home, and my dad used to tease me about burning water. He's getting really good at it himself.
Yep.
But yeah, so you get the best of intentions, and having an easy way to cook to have something that you can heat up and eat that's nutritious. My recommendation is heat it in small increments.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have to do 30 seconds at a time, 4 times to get it to the right temperature, at least you're not getting at that high heat that Dr. Wallach talks about, that then converts those good fats into the bad fats. So I am going to put that plug in there, as there's lots of people that I know that burn everything in the microwave too.
Really good point. It absolutely is. And I love that you said that, because you don't also want it to be too hot. They could burn themselves. But you did make a good point that, your mom and your dad really have 2 different needs. And this could be a whole nother topic of conversation. But another piece to aging is we've always done things together. And as we age, we really start going back into individuality, because we have 2 individuals who may have eaten all of their meals together and they've done everything together. But as we age, individuality, we start going back to needing to focus on that one parent or loved one is completely different than the needs of the other. So it can be a little bit of a shakeup in the routine and the understanding, to have the conversation that it's okay. This one, your mom needs her shake, and maybe dad's not there yet. He doesn't have to change his diet. So some understanding is really needed as each other start to change and wind back down into this more childlike individual where they have their own needs. So I think that's a really important conversation that really becomes a contention in relationships, or mom, you always did this way. You know, don't you remember this is the way I did it? And it doesn't work that way anymore. And that's, we forget that was our parent. Our mind needs to shift, that we're now, you have to remove that equation of thought that this was our parent and we may need to step in and be the parent. And there's some grieving that goes into that, because our dialogue is going to change with that loved one and their needs are going to change. And we need to start stepping down into these more simple ways to assist them that may be a little bit more childlike in our simplicity. And then, but also the respect of you know, who they are, and maintaining, you know, that everything they've done for us. So that, again, a topic all in itself, but just the whole approach, as we started off with, the whole approach is completely different. I see somebody has their hand up. Does somebody have a question?
Yeah, so I just want to make sure, because we are coming to the end of the show.
Yeah,
So if you have a question in regards to the topic of today, please go ahead. And I think they decided they didn't want to ask a question, but still,
I bet
you
it
know,
was a really good question.
well,
That's okay.
maybe, but
Maybe we answered it.
maybe we just answered it. Absolutely. Well, we do have some comments coming in from YouTube. Bruce says, oh, Bruce, I have to give props to Becca and her team. Where do you find these great speakers? Kasondra is wonderful. So thank you, Bruce. I agree. And you know, we find, well, Kasondra, I've known a long time. We've kind of been on this same journey of health and wellness, going in our different paths. But we also have listeners like you who have experiences in the wellness and nutrition field. And, you know, we find value in everybody's knowledge. So if you are one that has some information that you would like to share, especially if you have benefited from Dr. Wallach's programs through his teachings, and contact us. info@dailywithdoc.com. Again, that's info@dailywithdoc.com. Donald says, well, how can one say their cabinet or fridge is actually nutrient dense things to ingest? How can you say their cabinet?
Okay, I know what the question is. So
go for it.
Yeah, so you know, you're checking your loved one's milk, cheese, eggs, checking the expiration date, taking the tab off to make sure that it's not sour. Super important. This is, you know, an indicator, but apples, cheese, crackers, almond butter, snacks, cut up chicken, you know, the protein snacks. Cheese is actually a good snack for, you know, some longevity. Sometimes they're losing weight and they really do need, you know, in addition to the protein shake every day. I'm right there with you. It's the first thing that gets ingested every day, the green protein shake. But cut up chicken, and just different snacks that you can get that are already made to go. And yes, and always available for lots of questions.
Yeah, and you know, with those snacks, we've got the good foods, bad foods list. You can find that on dailywithdoc.com. The snacks that Kasondra is mentioning go right along with that list, and crackers, you can get amazing tasting gluten-free crackers. I absolutely love them. I keep them on hand myself. And so Albert says steam cook your food and you won't burn the food. Albert, you can burn water, my friend.
You are absolutely right, though, Albert. Steamed foods are super important for digestion. Yes, all around, older adults and steamed vegetables and foods are good suggestion, Albert.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we got 2 minutes till the end of the show. If we could get the co-hosts up, time just kind of gets away from us. I thank you so much, Kasondra, for being on today. And I couldn't do this show and do all the different pieces by myself. I tried it in the beginning. Yeah, it wasn't that fun. I was exhausted at the end of the show, but now I am very, very blessed to have our team. We have Ruth Ellen, who is my executive production manager, who helps to keep us all in line. And she's also the one who pulls the Zoom into another program that adds the graphics that you are seeing out on the different platforms like Rumble and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, X, all these different programs that have the video. She's the one that's putting it all together so that you can see it that way. So thank you so much, Ruth Ellen, for doing that part. And we have Albert, who is joining us from South Africa. So it's like 10 o'clock at night there. 10 o'clock, yeah. Thank you so much, Albert, as he is letting people into the Zoom and making sure that we have some security with that, which is the reason why we don't let people turn their cameras on. And we want to make sure that you have your name as your profile. So thank you so much, everybody, for doing that and being part of keeping this program a family-safe program. We also have Sherry, another member of our tech crew, who is helping to do the stream out onto Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook, and keeping an eye on those different platforms for questions that are coming in. Thank you so much, Sherry. And we have Keely, who is helping us with our social media presence. I appreciate you so much, Keely, and all that you do. And we also have Marilyn. So if you are in the Zoom live with us and you get that chat open, you can see how hard she works. Man, I can talk fast, but she types even faster, and I appreciate that for sure. Thank you so much, Marilyn. And I cannot forget AJ, who is one of the reasons why, the main reason, he's like the one that pushed me to go out onto all these different platforms. So I am so grateful for him and all that he does and all that has been done in the future, as we have a lot of good things coming up and available for each and every one out there in the World Wide Web. So thank you so much, AJ. And again, Kasondra, thank you. We're going to have you back next week as well, where we're going to continue more information to help people put into their toolboxes, whether they need it right now or in the future. We're here to help fill that toolbox. My name is Becca Dukes. Thank you so much for joining us here on Daily with Doc and Becca. Again, if you were referred to this program by somebody specific, get back with them. They are your point of contact for any and all questions. And if you were not, or they don't have the answer, we do have questions at dailywithdoc.com. Let us know that you are working with somebody. Again, that's questions at dailywithdoc.com. Or we have our team of certified holistic health coaches at 855-949-3377. Don't forget to go to the website, dailywithdoc.com, sign up for our newsletter, and in a couple weeks when it looks different, I want you to email us and let us know what you think. So until next time, my name is Becca Dukes. We will see you tomorrow as we have Q&A with Pharmacist Ben one more time. You can get on with us, zoom.dailywithdoc.com, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific, 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, 3 to 4 Eastern, and 9 to 10 in South Africa, and I believe the UK. They're on the same time zone. So everybody, thank you again so much for joining us. Kasondra, thank you, my dear. We appreciate you, and we look forward to learning more and more as you are sharing from your heart and life's experiences you've encountered for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for taking this time, investing it into you and your tomorrow. Bye for now, everybody. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.